Very often when we talk about grammar in a classroom, it's always one little piece of grammar at a time, and very often we never go back to that first piece we talked about, or if we do, it comes up as a side comment or maybe months later, weeks later. And it's hard for people to see that actually grammar describes a language which is a system where everything needs to work together. I think it would be great to have a grammar that lets us talk about words, how to put words together into constructions, how to put constructions together into sentences, and at the same time to be able to constantly review and incorporate all the information together at one time. Robert Allen actually devised that kind of a system, and that's the system that I'm sharing with you. This is the fourth video in this series. It's called What is the Predicate of a Sentence? And with this video, we're going to start to see the first steps in looking at how a language looks, at how English looks. So let's begin to answer what is the predicate of a sentence. The first thing we need to answer, though, is what is a sentence? We have to agree on our vocabulary. A sentence is a group of words we can change to a yes or no question. For example, dogs are popular pets in the U.S. Are dogs popular pets in the U.S.? It's a good yes or no question. It means it's a sentence. My neighbor will get a dog tomorrow. Will my neighbor get a dog tomorrow? Again, we have a good sentence because we were able to change it to a yes or no question. Next, we need to answer what is a shifter. And that was the topic of our third video. A shifter is a group of words that we can shift from the beginning of a sentence to the end, or from the end of a sentence to the beginning, and not change the meaning of the sentence. Dogs are popular pets in the U.S. In the U.S., dogs are popular pets. I can see that in the U.S. is my shifter. It can be at the end, it can be at the front, but the sentence remains the same meaning. My neighbor will get a dog tomorrow. Tomorrow my neighbor will get a dog. Again, tomorrow is a shifter. At the end or at the front, the sentence remains the same. Before we go on to the predicate, we do have to decide what is a subject in a sentence. The subject of a sentence is all the words between the two X-word places. The 20 common X-words are listed in red: am, are, is, was, were, and then the words below them. Very often these are called auxiliary verbs or helping verbs, but they do something very interesting in English that we can take a look at. These X words are the words that let us ask yes or no questions. These are also the words that must appear in negative sentences. So for example, dogs are popular pets in the U.S. Are dogs popular pets in the U.S.? The X word are moves to the front to make a question, and between the two places where X can go in a sentence, for example, in the statement dogs are and the question are dogs, between those two places, the word or words is the subject, in this case, dogs. My neighbor will get a dog tomorrow. The X word is will. I can move it to the front to make a yes or no question. Will my neighbor get a dog tomorrow? My neighbor's the subject. It's the words between the two X word places. Now we're ready to answer the question, what is a predicate? The predicate of a sentence is between the subject and end shifter places. We're only talking about places here. We're not talking about ideas or parts of speech or anything like that at all. We're just talking about the locations that can be found in a sentence. For example, dogs are popular pets in the U.S. We already saw in the U.S. is the shifter, dogs is the subject, and the predicate is between the subject and the end shifter. In this case, are popular pets. And the X word is included in the predicate. My neighbor will get a dog tomorrow. My neighbor is the subject. It was between the two X word places where we put will. Tomorrow is the shifter. Will get a dog is the predicate. The X word is part of the predicate. Jan is walking her dog right now. Let's take a look and we'll do this sentence step by step together. The shifter, right now. Right now, Jan is walking her dog. Let's find the subject by marking the X words and moving one to make a yes or no question. Is Jan walking her dog? And we see Jan is the subject. We know the subject. We know the end shifter. Let's put a box around the predicate, and there it is walking her dog. They love each other. Again, let's take a look at this sentence together. We take a look, and actually it's interesting. In this sentence, there's no front shifter, there's no end shifter, and we can say that the positions, these shifter places exist in the sentence, but in this sentence, both places are empty. So the next step is, let's find our subject. Also, I don't see the X word. So when I don't see an X word in a statement, I can always look for do, does, or did, because that's going to be one of the X words we need. In this case, it's do. They do not love each other. Every negative sentence must have an X word, so I can use do. Do they love each other? I can move the X word to make a yes or no question. The subject is they. It's between the two X word places. Love each other is the predicate because it's everything that's left. There is no end shifter. Now, this is kind of interesting, I hope for you, because it's an alternative way of looking at grammar, of talking about what sentences look like. And also, I think you can start to see that we may have begun by talking about shifters, but we can continue adding subjects to our discussion of shifters. We can add X words, we can add predicates, and so this becomes sort of a cumulative discussion where we don't forget about any part of the grammar, because all of this, the grand total of this, is the English language, and when we're describing the language, we really need to talk about it as a system and to show people how that system really fits together. This is the end of my videos talking about the places in a sentence, and actually the next step is really to talk about the constructions, the words that we put into sentences, and how they combine with each other to form the sentences and create the ideas that we want to express. Any questions or comments, I'd be happy to hear from them. I'd be happy to hear from you. And my name's Richard Abend. I can be reached at rabend@mpc.edu. I hope to hear from you.